Let me ask you this. What would you say is one of the coolest, if not the coolest tradition in sports, in your opinion? And which is, let's go. It's overrated. You can do without it. I'll take Zach. You want to go first?
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite traditions, this one popped into my mind because we're kind of getting in the golf swing here. Well, maybe not Northeast, but at least the tournaments, they're starting to heat up with some big name players, is the Masters opening ceremony, where right before the opening tee time, like right early in the morning, it's Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and then it used to be Arnold Palmer, rest in peace. They go out and they hit the opening tee shots, right before the first, actual tee time is. And what's really cool is like, it's early in the morning. It's like 7 a.m., maybe even earlier. I don't know. But it's around 7 a.m. And like there's hundreds of people there, like to watch these guys tee it off. And
really?
Yeah. And what I think is really cool is like those are players that none of us really were able to watch growing up. Like maybe when we were really young, like late 90s, early 2000s, they would make a random appearance. Like I know Arnie played in the early 2000s a little bit, but we hear about how great those guys were. We see highlights and everything, but you see like they're like early 80s and they're striping the ball down. It's just so cool to see, like, relive a little bit of history of the greatest ever play the game. So
plus Augusta National too with that.
Yeah, there's so many things at the Masters tournament, like with traditions. But to me, that's the coolest because you get to see kind of the legends of the game.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Now, what about overrated? Or you could do without.
One I could do without. I think it's the worst thing in the world is the Hall of Fame game.
This is such That's such a good one.
Like the first week of preseason.
It's
all fourth stringers.
Yeah, literally. Like I remember it was like, what was it? Like 5 years ago, the Giants were in the Hall of Fame game against I think the Bills or something, and I actually got excited to watch it because it's first football in 6 months, whatever. Giants are in it. I put it on and I watched like the first half. I was like, this is extremely irrelevant because none of these guys are even going to make the team. And everything. And like the whole Canton and Hall of Fame stuff is great, but like, why do you need to have a fifth preseason game? For these?
You got Al Michaels on the call, Eli Manning.
Just have the Hall of Fame game be one of the first preseason. Like it doesn't have to be a whole week early.
It doesn't have to be special.
Yeah, like just
do it.
And if you want it to be special, it's still preseason. If the other games start on Thursday that week, have the Hall of Fame game be Wednesday or Tuesday. Right. Like no one's going to care. It's the preseason. The starters are going to play a possession anyway.
And it's
they didn't play it all in that game.
I was gonna say it's so funny too because every time you see the commercials like mid-July when you're just like so horny for football and then you're just like Falcons, like like Texans or whatever, like Hall of Fame game. You're just kind of like, oh yeah. Then it's like you turn it on, you're like, oh man, that Schaub's not even dressed like for the Falcons. Like yikes, like it's like that.
I will say what's great about that game, but it's just Chris Collinsworth in himself is like he's no different in that game than he is in like the fourth quarter of a regular season game where everything like it's all on the line. Like he'll be talking about like someone that played like Division III lacrosse and be like, well, this guy's a gamer.
You're just like, that is a competitive dude on the gridiron. It's like, oh wow, what a take.
He played against Blue Mountain State last year.
All right, so I'll go next here. Okay, so you were saying, Chad, you felt like you were going a lot, so I'll self-center myself for a little bit now because I don't do that enough. All right, I'll go with mine. And I always just like this. I think hockey culture in general. Of course, I have my Philadelphia accent to that, but I just in general have always enjoyed the hockey culture, right? And obviously at the end of a series, they do the handshake in the playoffs, which I always love. I just feel like it's just a cool tradition. And then you spice those. I'll just double off real quick on the thing I hate the most: the Pro Bowl. So any meaningless football game to me is sucks. So like, there's my that sucks. But
that's a good one.
But yeah, no, a handshake for me for hockey. And it's funny, Chad, I got the graphic up and shaking hands because yours is the hockey circuits too, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
We don't not to pause everything. We don't see that many handshakes anymore. I mean, obviously with COVID, but even pre-COVID, like you don't see that often in sports that much anymore, right? Like, I mean, people
hugs and they're dapping each other up, all that kind of
Jersey
stuff.
Swapping
jerseys,
yeah. But no. So mine, sticking with hockey, the one that I like the most, tradition wise, is playoff beers. Like I I don't know what about it. Like, I guess it's because I constantly grow out a beard. But like, it's so cool to me that these guys will play a full season, and then shave themselves completely bare and just grow it out for however long they're in the playoffs. And then by the time the Stanley Cup rolls around, you have at least like 6-7 guys from each team that have beards like down to there. Like,
lumberjack beards.
Yeah, like it's
like
so
Portland
cool to see.
hazy IPA beards.
Yeah.
Fishtown beards.
Yeah, so it's to me like that. I think that's just really cool, and it's like it's a whole sport thing. It's not like two teams do it, and like you have to wait for them to make the Stanley Cup, like, or make the playoffs. Like every single team does it, like at least a couple guys on every team. So I think that's awesome. The one that I really don't like, and I actually was talking about this at work today with a couple coworkers, trying to decide what's something I don't like. And it's got to be baseball having the meeting at home plate every single game of every series. Like I get it for the first game of the series because you may need to like go over the ground rules for that specific stadium if one of the two not one of the two coaches, if the opposing coach has never been there before and just doesn't know and has to like tell the rest of the team. But at this point in time, like these guys all understand ground rules, and like the stadiums aren't that much different, and nothing really changes that much unless you're down in Tampa Bay and you have those stupid catwalks that if it hits it, it's a foul ball. But beyond that, like that was supposed to be like, you know, back in like 1918 where they had to like exchange the lineup card and they didn't have social media. Like now I know the lineup an hour before the game. So I'm damn sure the other opposing team knows the lineup. Like you don't need to sit there and exchange lineup cards. So it's, I don't know, it just seems weird and outdated.
Well, and I love what the chat was saying too, to keep in the baseball circuits. What they were saying was they love the tradition of the All-Star game and making some ballpark food, some hot dogs and stuff at home watching the game. The All-Star, like the MLB All-Star games, like it's that point. I feel like it's one of the only fun, like this is the only good All-Star game.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's why the Pro Bowl line that sucked. Like, yeah.
I mean, they're able to try without getting hurt. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Like basketball, I get it. Like, there's not much risk of injury, but
there
like,
still is.
Yeah, like if you're running full speed, you as much as they run full speed in that sport, like you could roll an ankle, you could tear, pull anything like in your leg, like all of that stuff is bound to happen. And then like we saw it with Embiid and LeBron, like the smallest push when you're up in the air as a big man, you come down hard and that can mess up something in your body like for a long time.
How cool would it be, real quick, if the Pro Bowl was like, instead of like MLB, how like it used to be with the All-Star game, how like home field with the World Series was determined? You know how they're going to probably do the 17th game thing, where like it's going to be like they should do whoever wins the Pro Bowl who has a home game that year, the next year. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I still don't think people would try like that. There's so much on the line for them, and like you're never going to get those guys to tackle each other the right way in that game. Like,
yeah.
Sean Taylor was like the only guy to ever do it.